see on our agenda, we were in executive session. We were doing contract negotiations, court and police in Robbinsville. Please rise to the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council, you have an agenda in front of you. Looking for a motion to accept the agenda as presented. Moved by Council President. Second by Council Busey. Have a roll call.
Ms. Blue? Yes. Mr. Missouri?
Yes.
Mr. Music? Mr. Stahl?
Yes. 4 yeses, so carried. Minutes, October the 1st, 2018, executive session. Looking for a motion to accept them as they were presented. So moved by Council President. Second by Council Busey. Roll call.
Mr. Music?
Yes.
Mr. Stahl?
Yes.
Ms. Blue? Abstain. Mr. Missouri?
Yes. So carried, 3 yeses, 1 abstention. October the 1st, 2018, public session. Looking for a motion to accept as presented. So moved by Council President. Second by Councilwoman Blue. May I have a roll call?
Mr. Music?
Yes.
Mr. Stahl?
Yes.
Ms. Blue? Yes. Mr. Missouri?
Yes. So carried, 4-0. Public comment number 1. Any person wishing to address the mayor and council regarding matters on the agenda will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes for his or her comment. Please come forward, give your name and your address. Please speak slowly and clearly so we can get it on the tape. Is it on? Yeah. Oh, toward you.
It's me. He knows that one.
Testing.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Thank you. Scott Castor, 12 Clover Lane. Mr. Mayor and council and staff, I don't know exactly what I or some other speakers may say tonight from this podium, but I'm just hoping for a little tolerance. I'm hoping that if anybody speaks, including myself, that it's communicated to you and received by you with fairness and the way it was intended, which is not with any acrimony. This, for me, it's a little difficult to communicate what I really want to say. In the last week, I've been called a liar. I'm not a candidate for election this year. I happen to be supporting a team, but there are some numbers that are out there, and so some of them have been challenged. Those numbers actually, I believe, came from the borough, and I'm asking for your tolerance as they may be discussed, if they are discussed. That's all I wanted to really say. I think there's a way to get through this without killing each other. It's a little difficult to be on this end, and 3 of you up there, 3 out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of you tonight up there are candidates. So I hope we have a good old Hightstown time tonight and live through this and shake hands at the end. Thanks.
Thank you, Scott. Mr. Kirk.
Good evening, Steve Person, 43 Norton Avenue. I come forward tonight as to make some comments. I've seen lawn signs throughout the borough with some financial data, and I took a look at it, and there was one number that stood out, that the taxes have gone up 43% in the last 10 years. Wow, that's a heck of a number. So I went back to take a look at the 2018 versus the 2009 budget.
Sorry, Steve. We have a different set of rules. I think that we set up that there's 2 public comment periods. The second one being stuff that's anything you want. The first one.
Oh, this one is regarding the agenda?
Yeah.
All right.
No.
Sounds good.
Tory Watkins, 68 Meadow Drive, regarding the agenda, regarding ordinance number 21, improvements to the sewer and water system on Lincoln Avenue, specifically. The packet really doesn't, I don't find in the packet or in the agenda the full scope of the project. It may not even be known at this point, and maybe I should raise this when the engineer is here. But when you do renew water and sewer systems on a street like this, is it common practice to allow the existing homeowners who may want to renew their laterals out to the street, water or sewer, to tie in, and even better, to receive some kind of discount on the work if they at least partially employ the borough contractor? You don't have to answer that now, but I would like to hear an answer at some point to that question. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll make sure Carmela.
Is there a sewer hookup there?
Oh, yeah, if they're not hooked up now. Yeah, there will be for permits and cities for connections.
We'll get back to you, Tori. Hi, Doug.
Hey, how's it doing, Council President? Doug Mayer, 536 South Main Street. Council President, I just wanted to bring up one topic that's not on the agenda, but because it was brought up, and feel free to cut me off if I'm not following the rules, I'll understand. The decorum resolution that's been passed, covered cell phones. I really think, and I'm not picking on the mayor tonight, I understand that he left with his cell phone to make a phone call, but I really think that with the previous speaker, Mr. Curson, that was speaking, even though hopefully he'll be at the second speaking,
No,
that was his mind.
That was an emergency. He'll be back.
I understand, I understand, but from what I understand from the decorum rules, the phones are supposed to be turned off. So, and since we're already missing some council members, we're missing 2 council members, I would hope that when we present our case to the borough, every member of the council is there. Back on the agenda, and thank you for allowing me to say that. I know that I shouldn't have, so I apologize ahead of time, or afterwards. I did want to make a comment about, on the agenda, 2018-22, the first reading and introduction for the signs, and I read that and I understand that to be murals. Now I understand that this is just the first reading and it's got its process to go through, but seeing as how the bicycle ordinance has been a nightmare for the past 4.5 years, I'm hoping that this can stop and everything can be answered either at when it gets to final reading, which sometimes doesn't happen, or you guys can go ahead and solve that before it even gets there. My concern is going to be years ago when the Cultural Arts Commission was first set up, or maybe not when it was first set up, but they wanted to put certain art things in people's yards and stuff like that. If you remember correctly, I came up to make sure that they would have to have the permission of that individual resident. You can't just throw something up in somebody's yard and stuff like that. And it wasn't in there, and I just wanted to make sure it was clear, and the council was nice enough to go ahead and correct that. But on this one, murals going on the sides of the building, I didn't see anywhere. I would like it to address that the business owners or the owners of the building first have to put in writing and submit to the council, if appropriate, that they accept that. And 2, there has to be, I understand we're going through New York and stuff like that to the different artist places there. Some consider some things art, some consider some things offensive. There has to be something set up, and maybe it could be with the Cultural Arts Commission or some of our artists right here. There has to be something set up to what is approved before it goes as a mural onto a building, and maybe even, if appropriate, brought before the council so the residents can say, hey, that's not something I want to see, or yeah, that's something I would see. And the only reason why I'm bringing it up, not to pick on you, just that when it gets to that stage, since all other things seem to come to an abrupt halt, maybe we can stop that and we can build it up to that point, and then all those questions can be answered. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Doug. I'd like to comment on that briefly. This particular ordinance that we're talking about tonight is strictly to allow a mural as a type of sign accepted by the borough. There's a whole nother process that's being worked on that hasn't been voted on yet. And in that will be the rules, the procedure for calling out to the artists. First and foremost, the property owner, wherever it may be, would have to agree to there being one in the first place. So by us, if we approve this tonight, that there's a whole other process that still needs to be ironed out and will be presented publicly and voted on, sort of the rules of the mural process. So you have a good concern. I remember when you brought it up the first time. We're all still aware of that. What we have here tonight is just adding a line item to signage description as a mural being allowed, whereas before it had not been allowed. So there'll be a lot more work on this, the mural process, but tonight is simply to allow a mural as a sign type. There'll be a whole process that we'll be coming back to the public with, and back and forth on that till we get it right. And
I believe that this ordinance also does specify that they can't just put up a mural willy-nilly. It has to be approved by the council, and that is in
That's already
here, the one that we're going to be reviewing tonight.
And I do want to mention that's a sign ordinance, which is so if you do introduce this evening, it goes back to the planning board, they have 45 days to comment because it's a zoning law ordinance. We have to notify our neighboring communities. There's a process that the clerk's office has to go through. So if you introduce it, it will be sent to the planning board for their review. They have a 45-day period in which to review it before we can go.
Councilman Music.
Thank you, Councilman Schultz. I'd like to just address Mr. Mayor's first comment regarding guidelines of conduct. Resolution 2018-36 adopted 116-18 that specifically responds to your concern. I'm just going to read it into the record. Number 7, members of the governing body shall not utilize their cell phones while the meeting is in session, either during an executive session or during the open public portion of any meeting, whether verbally or by text, except for emergency circumstances. If any emergency should arise necessitating the use of a cell phone, then the member shall excuse himself or herself from the dais and leave the meeting room to engage in the cell phone communication. So I hope that answers that as well. Thank you.
Anyone else? Public comment? JP?
Evening, JP Gibbons, 602 North Main Street. On the agenda, 4 items. The first one, believe it or not, is an attaboy to the council, or attaperson, to be politically correct, and that's, Harry's looking at me like, really? Okay, and that is the first item with respect towards the description of the executive session. Good, very good. We had the discussion on the first. We identified that it wasn't clear enough what you were doing, where you were doing. At least you clarified it on this one. We know it's Robbinsville. You know it's much clearer. Contract negotiations, I appreciate it. Okay, so I will compliment words too. Item number 2. Due to some of the issues that have been going on, I strongly suggest on the agenda it identifies 3-minute restriction for this section. Public comment number 1, public comment number 2. Based on some things that are going and some heated feelings, I would strongly suggest that the council consider removing the requirement for the 3 minutes on the second public hearing so that people can vent, or at least describe what it is they're concerned about this one particular time. I don't think it's that much of a problem, but I think at the beginning when you're talking about the agenda, this is the perfect time for you to look at it. And I think if we could do that, then Steve Kirsten could have explained what he wanted to do in more detail. I think the 3 minutes is just not going to work on the second one. We're going to run into a problem, okay? And it will probably cause some issues. Third one, I concur. I was going to compliment Larry did exactly what he was supposed to do, which was he got an emergency call. He does run a business. Businesses run 24/7. He has a lot to do. I have the same thing. My phone's not off. My phone's on vibrate.
Just shut mine off.
That's right. Mine's on vibrate because I do have 24-hour emergency communications I have to be in contact with for Homeland Security, etc. And then item number 4 is just clarification of that the item that Doug was talking about and the council was mentioning, our ordinances, and unless I'm mistaken, As mentioned by the administrator, they do require a public hearing, so the discussion tonight is an introduction. There'll be discussion by you, not by us, and as such, we'll have a chance to talk about it a little bit later, okay, at the next meeting. So that's all I have to say about the agenda. But I would seriously ask you to consider at this point, if nobody else comes up, before you move on into the agenda, to have a discussion about changing the 3-minute on the second one now, so people will know in advance whether they have to pare things down or whether they can point it back, go beyond, okay? Or what the protocol will be to go beyond 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Anybody else coming forward? Closing public comment number 1. We got to go into ordinances 2018-19, final reading and public hearing. Refunding bond ordinance of the Borough of Hightstown in the County of Mercer, New Jersey, providing for refunding of all or a portion of certain water, sewer, utility bonds of the borough appropriating $1,080,000 therefor, and authorize the issuance of not to exceed $1,080,000 water and sewer utility refund bonds of the Borough of Hightstown to finance the cost thereof. Looking for a motion? I'm sorry, public hearing. Anybody coming forward? Do we want George to speak on it first? George, would you please speak on this so the public knows exactly what we're talking about, and then they can comment on it?
This deals with bonds that were issued in 2002. There were 25-year bonds. There's still approximately $1 million out there, $100,000 a year. And what we're looking to do with this ordinance is have the ability to refinance it if we can save on costs, including any cost that there would be to issue refunding bonds on this. And we've just updated our bond rating. We just had a very successful bond sale. This is the time we kind of go off of that without having a lot of administrative costs. And basically, we'll negotiate with several banks. And if we can, if it works, it works. If not, our only cost would have been having the bond orders prepared. But in discussions with our bond counsel and financial advisor, they feel that this is the smart thing to do, and I happen to agree. The current rates on that other one are probably like 4.5%, somewhere around there average. So this would, this should bring some savings. Is it going to be a huge savings? Probably not. But if it brings any savings, it's worth doing. So that's the purpose of this ordinance.
Okay, so if I get this right, you went to bond counsel, got advice from bond counsel, and you agree with them, and you put it on the agenda.
Yes.
Okay. Public hearing, anybody wishing to come forward and speak about this?
George, can you tell us what the last bond sale rate was?
Yeah. It averaged out, I believe, at 2.92% for our bonds, which I think were out for 12 years, which is excellent, for a size of community like this. And I thought we felt we did very well with the rating agency, and it reflected in the quotes we got, which were very close actually. So we refinanced all our outstanding notes and locked in a great interest rate, especially now rates are starting to rise up. They took advantage of that at the right time.
Thank you very much. Council, any other questions for George? All right, public can come forward, speak for or against, whatever you like about this bond ordinance. I think it explains itself pretty good. Thank you.
JP Gibbons, 602 North Main Street. I understand the concept, advanced degree in finance, it works well. I would strongly suggest to the council and to finance that when you propose something like this, you do exactly what Steve just was asking. It wouldn't be a problem to do a projection sheet every time we're going to do this that basically says, at the present time, the bonds we wish to retire are at this particular rate. We've got X amount of years left on them. The projection is this is what it cost us. We're looking at doing it from a 25 to a 12. We're looking at a projection. You can't guarantee the rate. I don't have a problem with that. But a projection on what we're doing so that the public can look at it and public can say intelligently, we grasp what you're trying to do, we approve it, we think it's great management. But at this point, people that don't attend, unless they watch the video, are not going to know the details that we're discussing right now, and that puts them in a handicap. So once again, it is public money. You're trying to manage it properly. I think it's a positive. And I think you should get credit for it. Take it wherever you can get it. But you're not going to get it if you don't publicize it. And if you don't at least give us a sheet on things of this nature. When it comes to finance, just a projection. It could be a paragraph, could be a sheet, however you think appropriate. You're the expert for the council in the borough, just to describe what you're trying to do and what your projections are. And then people can look at it online before a meeting, and they can either write back to you or send you an email or something and tell you kudos. Okay? From what you're talking about, it looks like a 2% or 1.5% differential on the rate. Is that basically it?
That's what we're looking at, but, we won't know until we put it out there.
Oh, are we also looking at a shorter period of time? What's the residual on time-wise?
There's still 10 years on the bonds, so depends on how they come back, the rates and how we can work it out,
What is your projection or optimum point? Are you looking at refinancing 10? Are you looking at refinancing 12 or 15?
I would not want to extend the period. I think it's more conservative to keep it at 10 years or less.
Sure. Because your projection for the interest rate should be lower now with a shorter period, and that works well. Once again, I'm all in favor, but I don't have those details, nor does anybody else have the details. So as far as time goes, you're looking at retiring same date. You're looking at retiring higher interest rate returns early, picking them up with lower interest rates, same period of time. Net effect should be X. So there should be a projection. You don't have to be held on it, but I'm just saying you're 1.5% on whatever the number is, $1 million over 10 years. It could be a couple of dollar savings. I think it's something you should think about going forward with to get credit for it, okay, and put it in the packet. And saying the packet, and I apologize, this is the second or third meeting I've attended, and I don't know where the public packet is. It used to be picked up. Super. Scott takes it. You know what I mean? Used to be Gene Seraphin would steal it. No one could get it. Now it's Scott. Okay. Thank you very much. As such, I'm in favor. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Doug Mayer, 536 South Main Street. What's this for?
These are old water sewer bonds.
Okay.
They were issued in 2002, and there's still 10 years or $1 million out on that. So we're looking to refinance that at lower interest rates after we just had our successful bond sale, without having a lot of administrative costs.
So basically, like there was a whole bunch of bonds out there previously, and they weren't being used, so you're kind of like pushing them aside and getting a better interest rate for new ones?
Well, they were used to fund up projects back in 2002. There's a remaining 10 years, we're just looking to refinance those at a lower interest rate and a net lower interest cost.
Oh, okay, so the work's already been done.
Yeah.
The bond's already been given, and you're trying to go back to the bank and saying, hey, can we renegotiate a lower
Yeah,
rate?
because we can fund those. And
Basically,
at a
that's
lower
what
rate.
it is.
Okay, perfect explanation. Thank you very much. That's like I said before when I was talking on the other first reading. This is where I'd like to be, in the future when we come up to here, everything can be explained. And I had no idea, I'll be perfectly honest with you, what this was. I read it like 10 times and I still couldn't figure it out. But he explained it to me perfectly, and I think credit should be given, and thank you very much. I hope the rest of these go like this. Thank you.
No other public hearing, and nobody else coming forward? I'm closing the public hearing, looking for a motion to move 2018-19 to adopt. Moved by Council President, second by Councilman Busey. Any other discussion or questions or comments about it? Just basically refinance is what it amounts to. May I have a roll call?
Mr. Mazzara?
Yes.
Mr. Musing?
Yes.
Mr. Stoltz?
Yes.
Ms. Blue?
Yes.
So carried. 4 yeses. 2018-20, first reading and introduction of bond ordinance providing for improvements to Lincoln Avenue, Egmont Avenue, and Rocky Brook Court in and by the Borough of Hightstown in the County of Mercer, New Jersey, appropriating $900,000 therefore, and authorize the issuance of $153,500 bonds or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof. Looking for a motion to introduce.
So moved, Mayor.
Moved by Council President, second by Councilwoman Blue. Discussion. Anybody have any questions or concerns about this one? I wish Connor was here tonight because Connor's been talking about this end of it all 3 months, 5 months, something like that. The improvements to Lincoln Avenue are going to encompass sidewalks, repaving, and Egmont and Rocky Brook are going to be, I believe, all paving, no sidewalks. And the big discussion is there's some trees on the south side of Lincoln that are in question right now for, there's some of them that are in pretty bad shape, and they're quite big oak trees. And we're supposed to have somebody come in. We already had the Shade Tree Commission look at them, but we're supposed to have somebody else come in and give us an evaluation of those trees. Whether we can go around them or whatever, I don't know. That's yet to part of the formula. So I'm looking for. I think everybody here understands what's going on. Do you have any questions, George?
And let's say when, in the body of the ordinance, you'll notice that there is a grant for $746,500. That's going to cover the majority of this project. Probably one of the biggest awards we've had from the Department of Transportation for such a growth.
Yeah.
And I think Carmella did a fantastic job in securing this grant.
Yes, she did come forward and did get us a large portion of this one here. Unfortunately, it only doesn't cover everything, obviously. All right, motion to move. It's been moved and seconded. Any other questions, concerns?
I would just like, you had mentioned the expert coming in about the trees. Until the bond ordinance is adopted and the funds are available, we don't have the money.
We don't have the money to bring in yet.
That's why Connor.
But, trees are always a big issue, and I just want to get that out to the public and know that those trees are being looked at very seriously. There are a couple there that look real good. Out on the Mayor's Walk, I was over there looking at them with a few people, and some of them looks like you don't want to walk under them, and others look fine. All right, may I have roll call, please?
Ms. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Mazur?
Yes.
Mr. Musing?
Yes.
Mr. Stoltz?
Yes.
So carried 4-0.
Public hearing is November 5th.
2018-21 first reading introduction of bond ordinance providing for water and sanitary sewer improvement to Lincoln, Egmont, and Rocky Brook Court for the water and sewer utilities in and by the Borough of Hightstown in the County of Mercer, New Jersey, appropriating $170,000 therefore, and authorize the issuance of $175,000 in bonds or notes of the Borough of Hightstown to finance the cost thereof. Once again, this is, when you open that street up, you have to do some infrastructure work. Looking for a motion to introduce.
So moved.
Moved by Susan Blue,
Second.
second by Council President. Any questions or concerns here on council? You understand what's going on here? We're doing the road work. We got the money to do the road work. And now we have to do some infrastructure work. Once you open it up, you have stormwater, you have water and sanitary pipes that may need changing. Normal, that's what we do in most streets. Roll call, please.
Mr. Stoltz?
Yes.
Ms. Blue?
Yes.
Mr. Mazur?
Yes.
Mr. Musing?
Yes.
So carried 4-0.
Public hearing is November 5th.
Public hearing is November the 5th. 2018-22, first reading introduction, amending chapter 29 entitled Signs, section 29-5 entitled Prohibited of the revised general ordinance of the Borough of Hightstown. Looking for a motion to introduce.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Bluth, second by Council President. I want to turn on what page you can read. Does anybody have any questions on this? Council, any concerns? They read the ordinance and the way you want to introduce it, right? Have a roll call, please.
Mr. Music?
Yes.
Mr. Stoll?
Yes.
Ms. Bluth?
Yes.
Mr. Missouri?
Yes.
So carried 4-0. Resolution 2088, payment of bills. In your packet, like I always say every week, every other week, that we have bills in front of us that have to be paid on the manual list and on the regular list. Looking for a motion to accept the bills as presented.
First move.
Moved by Councilman Using, second by Council President. Any questions or concerns about any such bills? Madam Roll.
Mr. Music?
Yes.
Mr. Stoll?
Yes.
Ms. Bluth?
Yes.
Mr. Missouri?
Abstain? Huh? Three yeses, one abstention, so carried. Authorizing payment number 2, rapid pump and meter service, secondary clarifier improvements. Again, this is work being done at the wastewater treatment plant. Looking for a motion for 2018-189.
So moved.
Moved by Council President,
Second.
second by Councilman Using. Any questions or concerns? Have a roll.
Mr. Missouri?
Yes.
Mr. Music?
Yes.
Mr. Stoll?
Yes.
Ms. Bluth?
Yes.
So carried 4-0. 2018-190, resolution determining the form and other details of not to exceed $1,080,000 water and sewer utility funding bond for the Borough of Hightstown in the County of Mercer, New Jersey, or such other amounts to be determined by the Chief Finance Officer to accomplish the refunding of the terms required by the local finance bond pursuant to New Jersey AC County, what's that? AC, New Jersey Administrative Code 5:30-2.5, and consistent with the refunding of provisions to the Internal Revenue Code, and provide for the sale of delivery of such bonds to an underwriter or a bank in case of direct loan as selected by the Chief Financial Officer. George, you gotta explain this to me, man. I mean, come on.
Just goes hand in hand with the ordinance.
It sounds like a whole ordinance.
Yeah, I know, it does. But that's, bond council.
I understand where it's going, and I understand what you're trying to do.
It just goes hand in hand because it's further authority once the ordinance is in place. Just like we did something similar on the bond sale, before we had the bond sale. Council passed a resolution regarding the bond sale.
Basically, gives the authority for George to continue. You've done the refunding bond now. Now it gives him the authority to sign the paperwork and work with the financial advisor and bond counsel to get that refund.
Right.
That's what you're
And
basically
if it works out, then we sign and go forward.
So, if you don't get the rate you want, you have a right to back out.
Absolutely.
That's what this is.
Yes.
All right.
That's it.
So, if they come in at 3, 4, 5%, and you do woo,
There's no,
okay. So, it's untying your hands.
yeah.
Technically, what it's doing is.
But also giving the authority to award.
Gotcha.
bids.
I understand. Council, do you understand? For roll call. Huh? Oh, it hasn't been moved? Good. I'm looking for somebody to move this. Moved by Council President, seconded by Mr. Musing. Any other discussion? Anybody any questions about it? Basically, what I'm understanding is we're going to refinance some of our bonds for $1 million. And this is giving him the authority to say yes or no when it comes time to do it. Does the public understand what I'm talking about? Have a roll call, please.
Mr. Mazur?
Yes.
Mr. Musing?
Yes.
Mr. Stoltz?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Council, we have a consent agenda in front of us. 2018, 191, 92, 93, 94. I'd like to move that as a consent, if my council wishes to do so. Looking for a motion to move.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Musing,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Blue. Any questions or concerns about any of it? Never roll.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Mazur?
Yes.
Mr. Musing?
Yes.
Mr. Stoltz?
Yes.
So carried 4-0. All right, now, public comment number 2. Any person wishing to address the mayor and council at this time will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes for his or her comment. Please come forward again, give your name, your address, speak slowly and clearly because we're trying to pick it up on the microphone. Thank you.
Heath Labrigos, 213 Greeley Street. I'm sorry our liaison from the Environmental Commission, Connor's not here tonight. He was going to bring up, and it came up at the last Environmental Commission meeting, that we feel quite strongly that with the development of the new municipal complex, that both the Historic Preservation Commission and the Environmental Commission should be involved from the start in the early stages of the planning. The Historic Preservation Commission, because it's a historic structure, they should have the purview when the design is being done on the exterior of the building and how the property looks from the street. The Environmental Commission, because when fully developed, this property is going to be almost 100% paved. We have a huge stormwater issue, and I really believe that if we work together from the beginning, we can avoid any contention or issues later on in the process. So I would just ask that you consider having these two commissions involved with your architects, your designers, and involved in whatever committee you set up to go over the design of this project. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Doug Mayer, 536 South Main Street. I have been receiving a number of calls trying to find out what the actual number to the Greenway Walking Bridge is. I've asked the Borough Administrator to hand out leaflets to each one of you so you can follow along if you so desire. Today, we have Republican candidates going around saying that the bridge is costing $800,000. And we have Democratic candidates going around with door hangers for literature saying that it is fully funded by federal grants. And at October 1st, the council meeting...
Mayor, hold on one place. What are you saying, Debbie?
Campaign matters
Can you
will
subs-
not be discussed at a borough council meeting. This is not a platform for campaigning. So this.
Can you please suspend my time? Point of order, can you please suspend my time while this is being discussed?
Go ahead, do that again.
Campaigns and campaign material should not be discussed in the borough council meeting. The borough council meeting, the purpose of the borough council meeting is for the governing body to conduct business, not campaign. I don't care.
Mr. Mayor, may I make a clarification?
So I'd like the borough attorney to put on that.
Well,
I'm caught in the middle, you know, he just...
Oh, yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Can I just make a clarification on what I'm doing before me so the borough attorney has both sides?
1 second. Go ahead.
Well, what the administrator said is true. Campaigning has no place at a borough council meeting. The information about the cost associated with the construction of the bridge is a matter of public information, though. So I think it's...
Okay.
Okay. I just
Clarify.
want to step over something and have
Start-
it
start
at a
the clock.
future meeting or.
Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to bring this discussion to the attention of the entire council so you can appreciate what's going on outside these doors and the public can know the truth. Provided on both of the press boards, the borough has provided a donation and an expense report. Should I suspend?
Wait, please. Hard to speak over those doors. And hard to listen. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The borough has provided a donation and expense report. Donations received by the borough for the bridge, $57,042.48. The borough share, or a bond, was $210,000. There was one grant for $331,000. There was a second grant for $121,512. Problem number one, the borough took $43,450 out of the taxpayer-funded bond of $210,000 and then added it to the first grant of the $331,000 and called it a $374,450 grant, and then told the people it was fully funded. It was a fully funded grant when in fact it's a partial grant and it's partial taxpayer money. These four numbers are four different revenue streams into this project. If you add all four of these numbers together,
Mr. Mayor, please take the mic with you.
I was going to speak. I just did a better breakdown. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay. You have 3 pages in front of you. That's why I gave it along to you and each member to pass along. Everything that's up here, you have in your hand.
Right.
These four numbers are four different revenue streams into this project. If you add these four numbers together, you get a grand total of $719,554.48. Problem number two. On October 1st, the administrator made a statement to debunk numbers being circulated throughout the borough stating the cost of the bridge was $408,575.84. And then on October 12th, the administrator sent an expense sheet to a local media outlet which reported the bridge cost at $684,729.44. On the borough website and from the administrator at the October 1st council meeting, we were told the bridge cost was $34,126.84 short of being fully funded, and an additional grant had been requested from NJDOT. Problem number three. If approved, that would become the fifth revenue stream, thereby making the new total balance of the Greenway Walking Bridge $753,680.32. Never before, Mr. Mayor, has a number been provided this high by the borough and then manipulated to make people think it was considerably lower. I think it's high time that all the political nonsense stop and you understand that this bridge is costing way more than you've been telling folks, and that they're being taxed a whole lot more than you've been telling them to pay it back. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I apologize for the doors and the interruptions. Anybody else wishing to come forward and speak? Please do.
Kenmore Morgan, 124 Aaron Avenue. I was talking about the school safety on my street. If you guys could turn it to a one-way. Yeah, if you guys could turn it to a one-way.
Yes,
for the safety of the kids.
What I did, I took and I went with the chief. Yes. He and I surveyed it, looked it all over, figured it all out. And I think it's the opposite way. The chief has recommended the opposite way that you wanted to go.
So not from Morrison to Stockton, from Stockton to Morrison?
Right. Okay. You know, he's looking at it different than we are. He's looking at the safety aspects and all that. And that's the way he recommended it.
Okay.
He did not do it in writing yet because I told him I wanted to talk to you first, but we haven't connected.
And then one more thing, since I'm on the food business, we do a test once every 5 years for food safety, surf safe. A lot of towns like Manalapan, Freehold, Maplewood, Irvington, and Salt Orange, they bring someone to do the food safety for all the restaurants, and then the town get the money instead of the money going to Mercer County or some other private organization.
Well, you and I have to talk about that one.
Yeah,
I thought my health department did all that.
Once a year, and then we could have more regulation on the food, make sure everybody's up to code, instead of doing it once every 5 years for the safety of the customer and the resident.
Definitely look into that. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Scott Gaster, 12 Clover Lane. I want to thank Council President Stoltz for the way he conducted the meeting in the very beginning during the open public portion. The reason I want to thank you is I think it brought to all of us a sense of community or even town hall meeting style of interaction. And it wasn't just between you, and it whoever was speaking up here, one by one, everybody got involved, and the result of that was a much more transparent and genuine and cordial atmosphere in here that produced a bottom line result. And I'm asking you all to do the same thing right now. There is a tendency, Mr. Mayor, and others, to hold off. And I understand that the Sunshine Law doesn't demand that you respond to a member of the public who is only speaking a comment. I understand that, and you understand that. However, there is a common courtesy of providing an exchange and showing some magnanimity of interaction, acknowledgement, instead of what sometimes comes across as, at the very end of the meeting, dropping a bomb or almost it comes across like an ambush at the very end where there's no opportunity for exchange. Again, it's not required, but it sure does go a long way, and it makes you all look bigger, and it makes all of us look much more productive. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cantor. Anybody else coming forward? Close the public comment number 2. I'm sorry.
So close. JP, you give
So
us
close, almost me.
so close. 602 North Main Street. First time I was very generous and very complimentary. Second time may not go that way, so I apologize from the start on it. Okay. To pick up from what Scott said and being reasonable about it, as a resident of the Borough of Hightstown, I do resent public officials who are paid by taxpayer money sticking themselves in the middle of any type of political discussion. I think it's barred by law. I think it's bad form, and I think it sets the wrong tone. So from that perspective, without getting into details unless I have to, I would simply suggest that it might be because feelings might be running high on all sides in the borough. We have 3 weeks to go before the election. Let's just have a little conversation with borough employees and basically say to them, just remember you're paid by the taxpayers whether you agree or disagree with whatever's going on out there. Try to be calm, cool, and collective about it, and try not to be inciting to riot, if you will, or throwing kerosene on the fire. Okay? I'll just leave it at that particular point. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, now I'm closing public comment number 2, and we're going to go into discussions. Do we have any, our administrator? All right, we have subcommittee report, which was Connor and Steve on sidewalk. Do we have a mess? Anybody else? HPC got anything? Okay, we're going to go into mayor, council, and administrative reports. I'm going to start over here with Councilman Musing, and we'll work our way right now. Thank you. HPC meets this week, right?
There was a meeting of the HBC this...
Take the microphone, please. Thank you.
Nobody can hear me. Can everybody hear me?
No.
Hold in closer.
Bring it right in close to your mouth.
But I can hear you. That's the bridge. This thing is not like...
Switch forward.
Okay. Everybody hear me?
You have to hold it horizontal to your mouth.
How's this?
Now that, huh? There you go.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So HBC is meeting this week, on Thursday. So we'll see what's happening with that. Looking forward to that. And for the rest, I really have nothing to add.
Okay. Steve?
I was not able to attend the planning board meeting, so Mayor, if you could give
an update as to what happened there. I appreciate it. That's it. Ms. Blue? Speak right into the mic. Hard enough.
Arts and Rec Law is quiet at this time of the year, nothing to report. Cultural Arts Week this week on Wednesday, and I know that they will be thrilled that we will have the first meeting on this ordinance with regard to the
Council President. Hello.
Thanks, Mayor. Housing Authority, Wednesday, right? I got this one right. Look forward to going to that one. I know you guys have some things you got to have a quorum for to get your year-end stuff wrapped up, I guess. Look forward to seeing you guys. I haven't been in the last couple of meetings. I apologize. Downtown Hightstown Business Group met this morning. I was unfortunately not able to go to that, but I got an update. They're trying to get back to the main board. They've got some ideas for funding, making funding available for events in the coming year. They have I mentioned at the last meeting, but there's a slideshow they presented or created for businesses to put in their windows that's starting to make its way around, sort of as a video screen, sort of people come in from out of town, they can see what, not only other businesses that they might not be aware of, but a listing of events that happen. And then they continue through their Facebook page to kind of promote businesses as well as give ideas to improving the downtown. It's a great resource, and they tend to like to answer questions if anyone has questions to them or recommendations. They're an open book. One of the things, so they're trying to set up their next board meeting. That is all I have, other than to say the Harvest Fair I thought was a big success. My kids enjoyed it. Weather wasn't sunny, but sometimes that's better. You got kids running around being antsy, but I enjoyed it thoroughly. I like the compact layout. Sometime in the future maybe it gets a little bigger again, but sometimes we have to shrink down to go back and improve ourselves and get better again. But I, for one, thank everyone involved with that, and look forward to the next one. Mayor, that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Board Administrator, you have anything for us?
Yes, I do. I just want to bring to the public's attention that.
Get the microphone, please.
I just want to bring to the public's attention that we are now part of the Pace Car program. The forms that you can sign are located in the library and at Borough Hall, and we'll give you a magnet to put on the back of your car. We're hoping every resident in Hightstown that drives will become a Pace Car, to set the pace of 25 miles an hour through Hightstown, to stop at crosswalks, to stop at your stop signs, to stop at your red lights. We have to set an example, and it starts with us. So if you want one of the magnets, stop into the office. There's a form that you fill out, and then we'll give you the magnet to put on the back of your car.
And it doesn't work on the back of your car.
It's actually a pledge.
And it won't go on the back of your car if you have plastic.
Scott has a plastic car.
I have
haven't
plastic.
seen it. I'm going to take a walk down there and check it out.
Maybe it's stainless steel.
Architect interviews for the 230 Mercer Street location will take place in the next 2 weeks. The RFPs have been received. And I will be on vacation from October 20th to the 30th. And I will have no access to email or telephone. I'm going to take a cruise, so I won't have any access. And I do want to announce that Carmela Roberts has received second place in the municipal management projects under the 20,000 population for the tertiary disc filtration and UV disinfectant program at the wastewater treatment plant, and she'll be receiving that award at the League of Municipalities. So we're very proud of her. This is one of several she's received in the amount of time that I've been with Hightstown for the 10 years now. So she does a great job for the borough, and we're very proud to have an engineer that wins so many awards be working for Hightstown Borough.
Anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
I'm not my clerk. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You're no different.
Tomorrow is the last day to register to vote. So if you're not registered to vote, you have to be registered tomorrow in the county, correct? So you need to do that at the county by tomorrow. Other than that, we're just getting ready for year end and getting ready for reorg and dog licenses and taxi licenses and elections.
We got to clarify that. You cannot register for the borough tomorrow. You have to go to county.
They can. Well, if they want to come into our office,
Can, and we
we'll
can
email
fax
it
it
over and follow up with the mail, just make
Right.
sure you.
All right, so the office is willing to do that.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll take the extra step and get it
If
to
I
the
can get
county
it-
for you, but
They
you do
come
have
to
to
Borough Hall,
come
we
into the
will
office by
hold
4
it up.
p.m. tomorrow.
Very
So
good.
we can do that for you tomorrow. That's it.
Monica, anything to report from us? At the tax sale? Great? What does that mean? Great?
We had nothing stuck to
We
municipalities.
thought the tax sale was great when there's nobody in.
No, actually, municipality did not end up with one lien. We sold all 14 of them. It was a successful sale. We had good results. And they're all ready to
So
go.
what kind of percentage we have now?
The collection I actually haven't checked. We have delinquencies going out soon, so I haven't sent the late notices out yet. So that's, and we've been working with tax sales to pull that off.
Very good. Thank you very much. Mr. Lang, how are you?
Okay, I just wanted to say something quick about the bridge, on the sheet where we have the expenses of $684,000, that's an estimated amount because it depends on what happens with the engineer that we have for inspection. There's $121,000 budgeted. It's offset by a federal grant, so as far as net cost, it's not going to change a thing. It could change the total cost to be less. So if you start with the 684 and you look at the grants we're receiving 495,962. That's the 374,450 and 121,512, assuming they spend all the engineer money. If you subtract that off, you're left with about 188,000. If you subtract donations, there's about $131,700. That's not covered either by donations or grants. So, for what it's worth, I just wanted to kind of clarify that because the grant amounts are 374,450 and potentially 121,512.
George, can you repeat that last amount? That's the borough's amount, that number.
Yeah, probably, if you subtract out the grants and you subtract out the $57,000 in donations, again, looking at this whole project, it comes down to $131,724.96, based on this estimate that we have here. Just for the record.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rosetta.
Just wanted to mention that we have a tentative settlement with regard to one of the former gray water vendors, Affordable Pumping Services. They were one of the ones that we filed a complaint for the outstanding sum that was due and owed. The outstanding amount is $4,500, and the agreement is they're going to be paying $750 a month for the next until the sum is paid off, essentially. So
How many more we got to go? 3?
No, there's just one more, Atlas, which we filed a complaint against. We haven't heard anything from them, and that matter is proceeding before the court. And that has a higher sum that's due and owed. That's about $15,000.
Thank you very much. That's the way I wanted to go. Perfect. Mr. Gibbons, may I help you?
Yes, sir. Clarification. According to the numbers provided, we just need clarification. Maybe you've got it. According to the numbers provided, the DOT grant for the bridge is $331,000 even. Excuse me for a second. And you pulled down, according to what the numbers showed, $43,450, which was left over unspent from the $210,000. That's what the numbers show that was produced. Is that accurate? What did we actually get from the feds? Is it 331 or is it the 331 plus the 43,450? Because according to the numbers that were provided, it says we had $210,000 bond, of which we did not spend $43,450, and we pulled it down according to the figures provided and put it in there as a grant. What did the state give us from the federal government? Is it actually 331 or is it 374?
374. So this is correcting the 331 was the original estimated amount. And we do have a letter that says 374, 450. Yeah. I still don't have the letter with me.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
But you understand the confusion because you look at the numbers provided, it shows the
Well, I'm trying to show the
210,
funding.
it shows a 443,450, and then it shows it pulled down. So if you're telling us the number provided by the feds is 374, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't double counting the 43,450. So thank you for the clarification.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. President, thank you for your help tonight. All right, on the mayor's comments, the ribbons downtown, of course, they're pink ribbons. We don't know what that's for. The cancer awareness thing. And Robert's Engineering, like I said, she's being recognized for the work done at the wastewater treatment plant, which is actually beneficial to the borough because the amount of chemicals we use have been reduced. Before we used chlorine and then couldn't discharge the chlorine, so we had to take chlorine out of the system. It was a double process to make the water dischargeable. But also the borough is being recognized. I know that Robert's Engineering is going to be recognized in Atlantic City, but the borough is also going to be recognized for going down that road. I'd like to apologize to the council for leaving. It was a very important phone call. I've been waiting for it. And, it would always come at the most inappropriate time. Public comment. A lot of discussion tonight about public comment, the right way, the wrong way. If you read it, it's a comment time. It's a lot of question and answer time. It's a comment time. You get up there and you can make a comment, as JP did tonight. It wasn't a question until later on. It's a comment of, yes, I do like the police station or the police department. No, I don't like it. I like this, I don't like that. It's a comment. If we keep it a comment, it's very, very easy. When you get into a question and an answer and a dialogue, it's crazy, and sometimes the answers aren't what you want to hear, and then you go the other way. So try to keep it onto comments. The fair. I can't say enough about the fair. I had to work till noon. Ran home, jumped in the shower, ran downtown, and did some politicking. I thanked all the volunteers and everything else, but I don't think anybody really realizes how many volunteers were involved in the fair. I think it's somewhere around 75, 80%. It's way up there. The school sent people, Petty sent people, there was Boy Scouts, there was Girl Scouts. There was a lot of help, and it really turned out well. And Public Works, I know they got paid, but they did an outstanding job. So I have people calling me and telling me what a great fair it was. It came from Jamesburg, it came from Monroe, it came from where the snuff factory is, Helmetta. They called me up and thanked me for having a fair. And they're hoping that next year will be as nice. Businesses. Lee, I thank you so much for maintaining the business. I can't make all those meetings. I try to make as many as I can. It is working in the right direction. It's a direction that you and I had anticipated 3 years ago, something, right? And it's working fine. Really. I am going to work with the chief and make a recommendation on this one-way street on Cary Avenue. Not so much because the residents asking for it, but we're taking into consideration the safety and the way the school buses are working. They changed their route now, and they go out. I don't know if anybody noticed the sign that says bus only, in and out and around. So we're looking at the whole thing to determine if we want to go one way, and if we do want to go one way, which way. So I'll bring that back to council. That's about it for me. Don't forget, if you know somebody needs to register, get them down there. Voting is very important. Looking for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Second. I'm sorry. Second by Council President.